Hi, I'm Sith King.
And I'm Sonic Sons.
And we're the Rambling Reviewers. And before we begin, I have a question about the upcoming work. Why? Why? Anyways, today we're looking at Evangelion 3.33.
And I had to turn down the microphone volume to make it fit.
Why? Why does this exist?
I will grant you that it's very confusing, but it is...
No!
It is also the coolest kind of confusing.
No, there is only one kind of confused... Okay, no, this is... All of the characters are gripping the idiot ball so hard they're leaving marks on it.
I mean, considering I don't entirely know what was going on in the first place, I couldn't tell you who was being dumb or not, which makes it very ambiguous.
So
amazing visuals.
Yeah, it looks pretty as hell, but so did Jupiter Ascending, the worst film I've ever seen in my life, and that was awful.
Well, I still haven't seen that, so...
Yeah, you're lucky.
Okay.
Anyways. So, to begin, it has been years and years.
14, I believe.
14 years since the last installment of the Rebuild of Evangelion series came out.
Which was Evangelion 2.0 or 2.22 on the DVD. They like the repetitive numbers. And at the end of that thing, I don't know, maybe you're supposed to watch these all like in quick succession to each other.
Which is kind of subverted by the fact that it took 14 years for this to come out.
Yeah, I don't know. Remember there was a thing going on with he is trying to save Rey. There was a time and space thing going on. This may end up being a short review for having a very difficult time piecing together what the heck was happening. Okay. Anyway, that happened. And then in the next movie, all of a sudden, Shinji is in the future.
And for the first 10 minutes, we get no exposition. We don't know what the fuck is going on. A condition that is not helped by the rest of the movie aggressively seeking out, not giving us a fucking idea of what is going on. But what it starts out as, apparently Shinji is waking up from something, and everyone's really scared of him waking up for some reason, and he's in a medical stuff, and he has a bomb collar strapped to his neck and is brought to the bridge of some place, where it turns out that there is a gigantic there's now a giant flying battleship that is like a mile long, and it's surrounded by smaller aircraft carriers and stuff, and it can fly, and Nerve...
The whole group of them flyers, crazy.
And Nerve is now sending artificial angels to attack people. And
these new people are called Weil, apparently, and Misato's in charge.
Yeah, but she very carefully makes sure not to explain fucking anything. That's going to be my number one complaint. No one explains anything, and a lot of these problems could have been solved if someone just sat Shinji down and told him what the fuck is going on. That's not... I'm not even trying to be funny.
Logically, they could have... It was a little weird that they even brought him to the bridge if they weren't going to explain anything of the events on the bridge, and they didn't need him on the bridge, because as they explain, Unit 1... is now like their power reactor inside the ship and does not require a pilot. Okay, so what's Shinji doing here? He's kind of wanted to say hi, I guess?
In fact, they say, okay, Shinji, when you tried to save Rey, you initiated Third Impact and killed off a lot of the remaining population of humanity. You killed a fuck ton of people. If you ever get inside of an Eva again, there's a risk that humanity will go extinct and Fourth Impact will be caused. So naturally what we're going to do is shoot you in the head for the greater good of all civilization. We're sorry about this. Bang. Oh wait, no, they don't do that for some reason. Look, I'm not advocating killing a child. It's just that, given that this kid is literally the key to the apocalypse, and you have a way of stopping the apocalypse by just plugging him in the head right here and now with a gun, and that he can't pilot an Eva, which is your only defense against a lot of the monsters that are going to be coming after you, why do you still have Shinji around? If this is a future where Misato's gotten hard-edged and stuff, and you've had to make sacrifices for the good of humanity, Why do you keep him alive if all your bad guys want him alive?
Some amount of sympathy is still in there. But even then, it'd be better to put him in a safe house somewhere than in the middle of craziness all the time.
Yeah. And then it's revealed that, it's 14 years after you fell asleep, and by the way, Miss Asuka and Maya? No. Who's the other name? Mari, who is an Eva pilot introduced for the Rebuild series, are both the exact same age because of the curse of the Eva. Which, again, you're going to get used to hearing me say this. Never explain what that is. So the curse of the Eva makes you immortal?
I guess.
That's not that bad of a curse.
No, that was pretty good.
Of course, the real reason they want to do this is because these characters have a specific likeness, and if they change that, they would have to deal with, making new models, and
it would piss off the fans, too.
Yeah, we can't fucking have that,
Nope.
Instead of something that makes logical sense or would matter at all.
You gotta get your priorities.
So Shinji is told, yeah, you have to stay here, and everyone's pissed at you because of something you had no knowledge of possibly happening. You're basically the worst war criminal ever. Bye! Even though when he's literally screaming, what happened to Rey? Someone tell me what's going on. Why is there another Eva attacking the ship?
Mm-hmm.
Finally, a Rey clone comes in and kidnaps him, and he goes with her willingly because no one will tell him anything.
Yeah,
when
Shinji.
Just saying, hey, Shinji, by the way, your dad's still fucking evil. We found out that his plot would have killed all of humanity deliberately for no adequately explained reason, so we're trying to stop him. If you go to him for any reason, you'll basically be dooming the world. If they said this, we could have avoided the entire... Wow, we wouldn't have even had to leave the first act of the movie. We would have just skipped the entire movie.
Yeah, I guess.
And by the way, because the plot demands it is not a good reason for something to happen. It should happen because it goes naturally from one event to another, not because the author says so. Sorry, I'm just...
Yeah, no, I understand.
So they go back to Nerve, except the Geofront is gone.
Yeah.
And Nerve looks like it went mano a mano with Godzilla and lost. And here comes another part of the movie that I'm really confused over. So apparently Weil is a group of people who are rebelling against Gendo Ikari, right?
Yeah.
And there's the Sele group, which is the only people backing him, and they're basically brains inside of slabs.
As far as we know?
Yeah, that's never explained either.
Yeah.
Take a drink. Oh, not because of a drinking game, just it's a coping mechanism when dealing with this movie.
I see.
We don't see anyone else helping Gendo. We see three
That's
people,
right.
aside from Shinji, in the entire base.
Yep.
We see Gendo, his creepy assistant / boyfriend person, and... wait, 4 people. So, Gendo, creepy assistant, boyfriend person, Kaworu, and a Rey clone. Who the hell is keeping all of this stuff working?
Who's, harvesting the crops that make the food that these people eat?
Who's operating the cranes and the machinery? Who's making sure that all this stuff works? Because guess what? I went to Disney World. That's a lot less advanced than Nerve. I spent the last week at Disney. They have an army of people to make sure everything runs on time. There is a network of tunnels underneath Disney World. That's not an exaggeration. That's real. An army of tunnels underneath Disney to make sure that everything goes on without the guests noticing. And they still have a ton of people working up top.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that this place requires less workers than Disneyland. And even if there are, who would work with this guy?
These
and why?
people exactly?
Literally, Weil has been the rebellion against everything. All the governments in the world are aware that Nerve and Sele are a bunch of douchebags now. Who's working with them? What were they promised?
And why isn't someone dropping N2 mine on them? Or do they try that every so often?
And what is their goal? This is pretty bad towards the end of the movie, so I'll save some of this for them. But just there's no one here, and I don't know how this place runs, and it's just confusing. So Shinji tries to make friends with Rei, believing her to be the original Rei, or the Rei,
the one he knows.
Yeah. Turns out that this is not the original Rei, which he finds out later, and that the original Rei was ordered to get close to Shinji so that when she would die, it would hurt Shinji worse. Why is that necessary? Look, anytime you need a plan that revolves around traumatized children, I need you to go back to the drawing board and find a way that isn't phenomenally stupid. Just why? Someone came up with this plan. Someone approved of this plan. Someone thought it up, went to their supervisor. Their supervisor went to their supervisor, who brought it before Gendo and Seilei. There were so many points at which this plan could have been stopped by someone saying, "No, this is fucking stupid," but no one did. They went ahead with it. But okay, so Rei isn't responding to any of Shinji's advances. I mean that in a platonic sense.
Yeah.
And so Shinji starts going to Kaworu, who is sitting with a piano in the middle of an Eva bay. And despite the fact that Kaworu is clearly frickin' evil and refers to humans as Lilim, okay, here, buddy, I don't know what the fuck Kaworu is. Maybe he's an angel hybrid. Maybe he's like the 15th angel or whatever the fuck number we're up to. But here's the thing. Buddy, you've been on Earth for at least 14 or 15 years. You should know that Lilim is not the name of our species. This is like a xenomorph with a Groucho Marx mustache saying, "Greetings, I am Hugh-Man. I sure do love eating and pooping and Facebooking things. I am human." Look, it's not endearing when you fail at being a human when you've been there for 15 years. God damn it, man. I would learn... If you dropped me in Mexico in 15 years, I would have learned Spanish.
I would hope.
Or I would be dead, either way.
I mean,
Either way, I wouldn't have a language barrier anymore. But, like, the weird part is, even though he's clearly evil, he still has a nicer relationship with Shinji than everyone else on the planet, even when he's clearly manipulating Shinji.
Well, yeah, Shinji doesn't see it as manipulation.
Shinji doesn't see shit as manipulation. The guy just bumbles into obvious manipulations, and he's like, "How could this happen? This thing full of birdseed was sitting here on the ground underneath this massive anvil, and I was nearly crushed by an anvil. Who could do this?" And Wile E. Coyote is just drubbing his hands together and going, "Yes, my plans for instrumentality are working perfectly."
That's something.
Okay, but so Shinji is like kept totally isolated except for occasionally playing the piano with Kaworu. Except that he gets his food and his clothes from a slot in the wall.
We presume there's someone on the other side, but I don't know.
And we, again, see no one but the people I mentioned already. Because, God forbid, we make sense. Mm-hmm. And one of the shirts is too big for him, and it turns out that it's Toji's. Yeah. And he starts going, "Oh, God! Oh, God!" And this is a big-lipped alligator moment, because this never comes up again. Yeah, it never comes up. It doesn't... Like, his trauma, forgotten by the next scene. Okay, here's a thought. Why do they have Toji's shirt? Why did they give him Toji's shirt? What did that possibly accomplish?
No, I think they'd have
Is this part of Gendo's plan?
Non-used
Step
shirts.
219. We give Shinji his kind of asshole pervert friend's shirt. Implying, but not outright confirming, that he is dead, and possibly making him mildly upset for one whole scene. Truly, my plan is wheels within wheels. Grand Admiral Thrawn has nothing on Kendo Ikari.
Oh, that'd be a neat fight.
It would last 5 seconds, and then Ruck would stab him in the spine.
Yeah, it's true.
Okay, so... Anyways, since that pointlessness is over, he Kaworu takes Shinji outside to the ricketiest, most unsafe set of stairs in existence. Like, it is entirely made of rust, and there's bits of metal falling down, and for some reason this cliff face, which is supposed to be underground, is also looking out over Japan, because physics is for losers. And it turns out that Shinji nuked the world, and that's what he tells him. Turns out there's only one way to undo this. And so naturally, they decide to build a time machine to get all the Infinity Stones and snap everyone back into existence. Oh wait, no, that worked. So what we need to do is go down into the specially designed two-person Eva that they have built, which coincidentally looks exactly like the one that would have been meant to end the world already, which is, again, the thing that Gendo said you have to do. So they get into the Eva.
And they take off his explosive collar, by the way, because Kaworu can just do that, I guess.
And by the way, this happens. Okay, Kaworu and Shinji get into the two-person Eva, and Rei goes with them. For some reason, they're able to just do this without, like, raising any alarms. And
there's only three people in the base.
See, I seem to recall back when they first launched Eva Unit 01, they had to go through this massive checklist, and there were technicians running everywhere to make sure that the power grid was up and online. And they could just apparently do that like with one of those keyless remotes. Whoop, whoop.
Yeah.
And it turns out that Lilith, they decapitated Lilith and put her head somewhere else for some reason that is never explained. And so the two-person Eva tries to remove the spears, except that suddenly Asuka and Mari jump into the crater full of human skulls, which I can only assume means that they have a Kryptonian in the design staff. Remember our first...
It needs more skulls. That's
yes.
right. That's
Why
right.
do you have this here? There is no point to this being here. Okay, so they somehow know that Shinji's about to do this and jump in and call him an idiot for doing this, and never explain why it would be an exceedingly bad thing to do. You could argue that there wasn't time, but how long does it take to say, Shinji, don't pull out the spears, it'll trigger fourth impact? Oh wait, I just did it.
Yeah.
It took less than 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So they fight their way past with no one explaining why anything would be a bad idea, even though Kaworu is like, hey, wait a minute, maybe this is a bad idea because there's 2 spears here, and that's probably not a good thing. And so Shinji just forces the Eva forward, yanks out the spears. Well, it turned out that was stopping fourth impact from happening.
Somehow.
And also, there was an angel there, too. I think it was like the nanobot angel.
Oh, I forget.
And suddenly fourth impact starts happening, and a black hole opens up in the sky they call the Sea of Dirac.
Oh, yeah.
And, eventually, Kaworu is like, oh yeah, this is bad, isn't it? He's like, oh well, I'll just turn on my AT field powers and that will enable the collar to kill me. And he's like, don't worry, Shinji, everything's going to be fine. Even as the collar is literally turning him into a blood splatter on the inside of his cockpit while Shinji bangs on the wall to try to get to him. Because this is literally the only person in the entire film who has been nice to him in any way. Seriously, if everyone... The closest runner-up would be a guy who ran up and kicked Shinji in the balls. That would still be nicer to Shinji than everyone else in this movie. So Kaworu kills himself, and for some reason that stops fourth impact. Which, to start, Gendo had to kill off all the Sele members who were like, yeah, cool, let's kill ourselves off. Because we're okay with this, because it means humanity's next evolution is gonna happen.
Because that's how evolution works.
Yeah, for some reason. Then Masato flies in with the space battleship or whatever and starts shooting things. It was cool, but it was confusing. Then, but why and how did they know this was going to be here? And then when everything's over, they just fly away instead of pounding the remains of Nerve into rubble. And then Gendo's like, yes, all part of my plan. And I kid you not, that is what happened. I mean, normally when I say all part of my plan, it's mocking, but he actually says this is all part of the plan. So you nearly tore the space-time continuum a new one, lost countless valuable resources that are literally irreplaceable, killed off your only backers, and wrecked your own house. This is part of your plan. What is your end goal? Because I literally cannot figure out what your end goal is.
I don't know.
What do you want?
Oh,
There's a cost-benefit analysis to this, and it doesn't follow any logic. What do you want? How are you trying to get it? How does this help you on your way to your goal? And I can't figure this out. And if I can't figure this out, the rest of the audience probably can't.
No.
I'm not like trying to say I'm smarter than them, but someone will probably say, "Oh, it's obvious. He wants to do instrumentality." Why? What do you get out of instrumentality? You want all of humanity to become the Sea of Tang? What do you get out of this? What do? Okay.
I mean, back in the original series, there were some hints he was trying to resurrect his wife. I'm not sure we're still doing that in the rebuild. Also, I'm not sure how the resurrection was going to happen anyway, because it involved Adam in his hand for some reason, and the Rey clone, and I don't know.
This makes no goddamn sense. Look, you can make no sense, but it can still work. Gurren Lagann made no sense, but it worked.
Gurren Lagann was like, you knew what the rules were. It was, okay, they were doing silly robot physics, but having established that, we know how robots work. We know if you mash two of them together, they will magically, become a bigger robot together, right? We know, okay, and things will keep scaling up. And we knew what the characters were going for, and we knew who the villains were, and it added up while putting the laws of physics in abeyance, but that was okay. We understood what was being changed here. And this is a much more wild type of storytelling.
This is an I don't give a shit type of storytelling. You have the elements of Evangelion, but you're putting them in this context that didn't make much sense to begin with, and makes less sense as time goes on. Because, okay, now it made sense. I mean, it didn't make sense what he was trying to do in the original. Gendo was trying to do in the original series. He was trying to achieve instrumentality, but at least there he had a support base that would allow him to do so. He kept secrets. There were dramatic moments that came from him keeping secrets. But they're still trying to hit those familiar beats, but without a lot of the stuff that would allow for those beats to happen.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not entirely sure where they're trying to take this new stuff. The thing is, though, for everything we've just complained about, and is totally valid, there's still some amazing elements in this that I'll be happy to go back and watch again. Just to look at the freaking... It's like a weird form of visual poetry, the way they design everything and how bombastic it is. Now, even the scene of him just making friends with Kaworu playing piano or something, the atmospheric nature of it, the way they placed the camera angles, the interesting... How slow the pacing was, but it was kind of cool and interesting. It's got such great elements, and also, I admit, I don't know what's going on.
And then, okay, you can have a story where you don't know what's going on. That's the basis of a mystery.
Yeah.
But when you have...
There's a mystery, and then there's a dream sequence. And this is more of a extended dream sequence. You know what I mean? Like an actual... At first, we're dreaming, and nothing ever quite made sense. This is kind of how the events would play out. You know?
It's... It just doesn't make any sense, and it tries to act like that's part of the plan. But when your plan looks like a Wile E. Coyote fever dream gone horribly, nightmarishly wrong, and say this is all part of the plan, even when you've clearly lost, you move into Team Rocket territory. Because they would say, oh, this is part of the plan, but you just got your robot, which cost you thousands of dollars, blown up by Pikachu. Again. Tell me how this is any different from your normal day-to-day operations. If we knew what this was leading towards, then sure. I've seen this done where the bad guys were like, yes, they beat us again. This is part of our plan. And then it turned out that they were just trying to manipulate the good guys into destroying these things that were keeping the end of the world from happening.
Like doing a Xanatos Gambit type of thing.
Exactly. The problem is that Gendo Ikari is not Xanatos. Or at least he doesn't
we always could figure out eventually what Xanatos was up to. And there's going to be a fourth of these movies, but I'm going to call it right now, probably will not answer all our questions.
And furthermore, I mean, just why? Gendo does not have the resources, he does not have the smarts, he does not have the charisma of Xanatos. We just don't...
I mean, Gendo used to have resources. Now, though, he's got like 3 people in a base. So, yeah, that's a little confusing.
I mean, unless your answer is that, you know, he has armies of Rey clone slaves building and doing everything, and just Shinji never fucking noticed.
I don't know.
It just doesn't make any sense, and it's just...
On the scale of things, it may make a little more sense than Fooly Cooley, but that is a low bar to clear.
Yeah, that's not really a bar, that's a tripping hazard.
Yes.
I'm reminded of the action of the words of the Supreme Dalek from the end of time. Explain! Explain! Explain!
The fact that Dalek had just watched Neon Genesis a moment ago, and he wasn't even talking to anyone else.
Okay, I haven't even seen End of Evangelion, but I know it had to have made more sense than this.
Kind of, in a really depressing way, but that doesn't have to mean it doesn't make sense.
It's just not...
In fact, it was weird thing, too, is, if you remember, at the end of Eva Rebuild 2, they did a preview for the next episode, right? Like, as if this were a TV show. And they mentioned all these elements that totally never showed up in Eva 3. Mm-hmm. At the end of Eva 3, there's another preview of, like, this Eva that's like 2 Evas that have been merged together, and it's doing this awesome fight scene. You're like, that's probably not going to be in number 4, is it? You're just messing with us.
See, but what really upsets me about this work is not so much that it doesn't make sense. It's that things could have made sense, but they were gripping the idiot ball while doing so. Like I said, if they'd explained, Shinji, your dad is making Rey clones, he's also trying to blow up the world, we could have skipped the second and third acts of the movie. Because he wouldn't have gone with the Rey clone, because she's obviously not the Rey he's looking for. If the fight scene, Mari had interrupted and said, Shinji, don't do it, because if you remove those spears, it'll cause 4th impact. Here's the evidence. We're sending it to you now.
Here's the data.
Yeah. If there's any one of a number of points where they could have just stopped all of this from happening, but they don't, for what seems like no reason. And because of that, it seems like, okay, we know this doesn't make sense, but at least people are so stupid they can't figure out how to stop it. When you see a guy drive off a cliff, that's tragedy. When you see, if like it's on if on a rainy road at night, a guy drives off a cliff because he missed the guardrails.
That's Doctor Strange, but also tragedy.
That's tragedy.
Yeah.
When it's a clear day and there's like 100 signs saying danger, cliff, slippery slope, do not accelerate, and the guy just slams his foot down on the gas pedal, that's comedy. Because you know he's being an idiot and he's going to wind up doing a stupid. This is like that, but then they expected us to take this as drama.
You know, it made a little more sense in the original series where Gendo is in charge. Shinji was recruited at the very last minute, and to some extent, no one can tell Shinji things either because A, they don't know Gendo's full plan, or B, they've been ordered not to tell him just yet, and he's their boss. And you can all put it on Gendo, who's just an a-hole and never liked his son. And that explained more things. And now if you got Misato working independently, and she's nice, she could explain things, and Ritsuko.
And Ritsuko, the one who was running all of the super evil science crap back at NERV, is there. She can explain stuff. Both of them can explain stuff. Between the two of them, they know everything they need to know about Gendo's plan.
I mean, in theory, I have no idea who knows what, to be honest. Yeah, no, at some point we gotta reboot this and use all these wonderful elements with a story that actually adds up, and that'll be great. See our previous video, How to Fix Evangelion. It's still beautiful, though. Honest, I'm still so impressed by so much of it, and also, yes, all the complaints you just mentioned.
Yeah, I kind of take points off for beauty because at this point, for science fiction, it's expected that it's going to be beautiful.
Well, there's a particular style of Ava that I don't see quite replicated anywhere else. So it was really nice to see that again.
Right, but it's still... I kind of take it for granted that things are going to be beautiful, even if they're crap.
Yeah. I know what you mean. Especially with special effects, so that's more of a live-action trope.
Yeah, I mean, Star Wars is incredibly beautiful in a lot of places, but... Well,
I was more impressed with the artistry here than I was with New Trilogy Star Wars. That was more like, what are you guys even doing? And this is like, oh, there's so many nifty ideas. It's kind of like how I feel about Howl's Moving Castle. That plot makes no sense either. The movie, anyway. I haven't read the book. But, like, you can tell Miyazaki made this movie. It's got Miyazaki all over it, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of fun to watch.
Yeah.
But, you know, it doesn't
That was a more uplifting fun, and this is a more craziness.
But it doesn't take itself serious. I think the difference between Howl's Moving Castle and this is that Howl's Moving Castle doesn't take itself seriously, so you don't take it seriously. Whereas this one is a mystery that tries to take itself seriously, so you want to try to understand what's going on.
And you can't.
Yeah.
Still want to cosplay as Shinji one of these days.
You do. I'm cosplaying All Might. I guarantee you that would have changed.
Man, that would change so much.
Misato chokes to death on like a cherry pit or something like the week before canon starts.
No.
Well, look, we can't. Misato was kind of critical. Okay, put him in the next person in charge. Mr. Toshinori Yagi, are you here to take me to my father? Yes, my boy! Don't worry, I'm here! I am here!
You realize that if Shinji was, like, in the Eva, fighting an angel, and got in trouble, that All Might, without an Eva, would just run out onto the battlefield and be like, I'm here! And try to, like, punch the angel and, like, would not be dissuaded.
I honestly can't tell if he could punch through an AT field or not.
That's only one way to find out. Write a bunch of fanfics. Alright.
Yeah.
Friggin'. If necessary, he would, like, take a piece off an Ava and throw that into the angel. Be like, that one has an AT field. There. Whoosh. Because apparently when you shoot a bullet out of a gun that an Ava is holding, the bullets have AT fields.
Yeah, that doesn't make any goddamn
somehow.
sense.
So, you know, just hack that somehow. Would it work if Shinji was just sitting in his Ava, not piloting it, and, you know, they were just remotely telling the buttons to shoot the guns and stuff, and he was just generating an AT field for them?
Yeah.
Would that work? I don't know.
Also, would Thanos' snap work on an angel?
Jeez, do those qualify as life forms? I mean, they are, okay, a life form. They might just be weird enough for the Infinity Gauntlet not to recognize them. Thanos versus angels. That's something.
Huh. Anyway.
We'll go back in time and explain everything to ourselves.
Oh, God. Anyways, I think that's
about it. Alright. It's a beautiful mess.
Yep. Yeah, it makes no goddamn sense. And if you watch the previous two parts, you still won't know what's going on.
No, you won't. So
anyways, I'm Sith King.
I'm Sock Sense.
Signing off.